Hello, I'm just going to give you a quick tour of 2D design just to show some of the features so that you can do some basic drawing in 2D using some of the tools on here. 2D design is quite an old piece of software. One of the getchers for this software is that it only does one undo. You have been warned, okay? Many of you will want to go back and go back because you made a mistake. You can only go back once, okay? In which case, if you do come across that problem, you're just going to have to redraw it, and hopefully that's not going to take too long. So just things on here. We've got our drawing bar on the left, okay, and then we've got some other, I suppose, more viewing tools on the right here, okay. You shouldn't need to use on a day-to-day, not too much of these. You will want to use the line color and the line style, and then the fill color and the fill style. Okay, so let's start. You'll see on this drawing canvas here that there are lots and lots of dots, and that is our grid. Now I can change my grid quite easily. If I were to go over to here, for example, and right click, I can change where the spacing on my dots, and at the moment it is 5mm. If I just change that to 10, okay, you will see that I have less dots on the page. Okay, so again, I'm going to go back into that. I'm going to change it back to 5 and 5. Notice here it says step spacing, and I'll show you what that means in a minute. So step spacing of 5, grid spacing of step spacing of 1, grid spacing of 5. Okay. So if I were to go, I'm going to go onto my gridlock there, my gridlock. If I were to, for example, draw a square, I can only draw my square. Let's zoom in a little bit. I can only draw my square on the dots, and that is because I'm on the grid. Okay, I'm locked to my dots. If I go to step lock, I can now move this within a millimeter. Okay, so I can move this now a millimeter away from each other. So that is quite useful if I want to do, kind of a rectangle there, rectangle, for example, I have, more freedom over the size. The advice is to always stay on one of these, because I can come off them completely and then I completely have freedom over where I do it. I would advise you to not do that. Stay on one of the locks. I'm going to stay on the grid lock for the moment. Okay, I don't like that, so I am going to select my arrow and I'm going to just draw a window around it and press delete. So let's say I want to do different shapes. I can do that, for example. I can do a line if I want to. Okay, I can do an arc if I want to. I can do, a path, and I click in lots and lots of times. Okay, and right click to finish it. So lots of different styles I can do. If I were to hold it down, so hold left click down on my mouse, I get lots and lots more options. Okay, so the thing to do is just to look through them and see what they actually mean. Again, I have lots of options that I can do here, lots of options that I can do here. Okay, very, very useful. So you're going to draw your shape, whatever that is going to be. You might want to add some text to it, so using the text tool. So if I write hello, for example, okay, that is my text, and I can change the size of that if I want to. Okay, however you see fit. I can click that, and then notice at the bottom down here it says property. If I select that, I can not only then change the text, but I can change the font. Okay, and I can even specify the size, etc. So there's lots of control that I have over that. Now, sometimes when you have a shape, let's say I want to draw a house and I want to put a roof on the house. I'm just doing it with the lines. Okay, that's okay. I've got use the rectangle tool to do my doorway, for example, and then a window. Now, this is very different to what you're doing. You got a funny window, okay? So, but I then want to delete some of these lines, and I've got some other random things on here. So, very useful. I've got the delete tool here. Now, if I just select that, and I want to get rid of this line along here, it's going to do the whole box. Okay, so if I go edit and undo, that's not what I want. So if I left click and hold down on here, you'll see this option here, which is delete part of an object between two intersections. So I'm going to select that, and what that now means is it will delete the part of the line where it then crosses over. So if I delete it here, it's deleted that line to that point and to that point. Likewise, I can do that. I can do that. I can get rid of all the rubbish things that I don't want. So I can get rid of these things along here. Let's say I want it to be open. Okay, so I've got something that's resembling a little bit more what I want. Right click, come off for that. So we've got all of these other things here, zoom in and out, etc. You're not going to need to change too much of that. With my text tool, I might want to have just an outline of the text, and so at the moment I can change my line style. I'm going to leave it as a solid. I can change the color of my line if I want to. I'm going to leave it as it is, but I can, at the moment, it is filled with a solid black. I could do a no fill. If I do that, then I've got rid of all the bits in between. Okay, so again, that might be handy. Now, if you're using laser cutter, you will have been advised that you might want to use a different font. So if I go into the settings, and if I go all the way down here, if I type in stencil, okay, ST, so I can then change it to a stencil font, okay, and you can see that is going to be much more useful for laser cutting because my islands are not going to fall out. So I think that is basically it. Just one thing, if I showed you at the beginning, if I draw a window around something, I can delete it, for example. I'm going to go back, so Control Z to undo. But if I want to copy that, then if I hover over these two little dots together here, I can copy those. Okay, I can also move it by grabbing the middle one. I can flip it. I can flip it, or I can rotate it. Okay, so lots and lots of different options. Please use that. Just the best thing with this software is just to play and have a look. If you have an image that you want to bring in, so okay, so if I just paste that in here, I might let's get rid of that. Let's say you want to draw around that. Now there are a couple of ways of drawing around that. Okay, so the first thing I could do is I could use my line tool, and I'm going to left click and hold down, and I'm going to do this, draw a series of interconnected lines. So now if I come off my go on to step block maybe. So I've got lots of lines, and I'm going to do a bad job of this. Okay, now if I then delete that, you'll see that I've drawn around my bird. Okay, you can take much more time out of it about that, and then I can fill in these points, etc. as well. So that is one way of drawing around it. Now the other way that you can draw around something is the cheats method, and that is to use a contouring tool. So again, if I were to paste my image of my bird in, and if I go to bitmaps and then contour bitmap, I'm going to change this to 0. Okay, and that means I'm going to draw a line directly around that. So I'm going to select that. Okay, and then you will now see that that is drawing a line around it. So you can have a try. It's good to try and do it manually. The alternative is to use a contour tool. That should be it. Hopefully they are the tools that you will be using on 2D design. It is best just to give it a go, have a play, and look at all these menus to see what they do. But happy 2D designing.